Brad Panovich for SkiSoutheast.com. We're getting ready for the big ski weekend here in February. It's President's Day weekend. And the good news, we've got some cold and snow. The bad news, it's going to arrive just before the weekend. Remember last week with my update, we were looking at the possibility of something? Well, we still are, but it looks like it's going to be kind of a Wednesday, Thursday event. I think the weekend's going to be fine, though it is going to be warming up as we go through the weekend. The good news, we're going to be able to lay some snow down, both natural and man-made, to kind of get us into the weekend. So here's what's going on first. We kind of warmed up this past weekend, blow-torched across the southeast. It was incredibly warm. If you were out and about anywhere in the southeast, you know how warm it is. But here comes our next storm system. There's not a ton of cold air with this, but there is enough, especially in the mountains, that we're going to see some snow. Some of that snow could break out as soon as Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. You notice here we're starting to see some hints of this showing up from areas up in West Virginia and down into North Carolina. This is going to be very elevation dependent. So you're going to have to be up at the mountaintops for the heaviest stuff. You see that quick burst as the low moves through, but on the back side, we're likely going to see some additional northwest flow. And actually, if you watch this, you will see another surge of moisture coming off the Great Lakes. So it's a brief period of northwest flow snow, but it should add some additional snow, especially in West Virginia and Maryland. Maybe not as much in North Carolina as we're going to see further to the north. How much snow? Well, let's look at the short range models. We'll go out through Wednesday morning. I'll go slowly here so we can kind of show this. Notice how Wednesday morning the amounts really start to pile up here, and then we get that secondary surge up in West Virginia Thursday morning with some northwest flow, and you could see those areas up around Snowshoe and maybe even all the way down to Winter Place. You could see, man, it's always like amazing when I show this how Pocahontas County in West Virginia is just one of those hot spots, but also wisping all the way, I think, down to Flat Top Mountain there near Winter Place, and then down toward Mount Rogers there in southwestern Virginia, and then in North Carolina, you're looking at maybe general 1 to 2 inch amounts, maybe outside chance of 3. It depends on how quickly that moisture comes in from the south, but not a huge storm. It's really going to be more about the cold temperatures, I think, combined with the snowmaking. And speaking of those freezing temperatures, I saw the snow guns going at the top of the beach even today, which is a good sign. Get those slopes covered. As we go into tonight, we'll see that cold air try to move back in. And I do think there will be snowmaking, especially in the summits in North Carolina, maybe down to the valleys. It's going to be kind of questionable. But as this cold air moves in behind the low, it certainly will. We lost our temperature there. It certainly will be cold enough Wednesday night and Thursday night to make some snow. So I think we'll be able to have 2 or 3 days of good snowmaking, albeit probably primarily at night. But at least we'll be making snow, and we're going to add some natural snow. I think West Virginia, again, to Maryland, going to end up with some of the best snow from this system, just because the elevation certainly helps. Now, let's look at this system on the GFS model. I always like to show you guys kind of a different variation here. You could see the system. This is Wednesday morning, and notice some of that moisture on the back side. It briefly wanes, but then you see the northwest flow showing up on the model. So that's not a bad sign there. That's a pretty decent northwest event. And you see how cold it gets, all below freezing as we go into Friday morning. And so we certainly have cold enough air for snowmaking Wednesday night, Thursday night, and probably a good chunk of Friday morning until it warms up. And then even Friday night into Saturday, it looks like it'll be cold enough for snowmaking again. So going into the weekend, the snow guns, they're not going to be able to run 24/7, but we'll be able to make snow this weekend, at least Saturday morning. Then we head towards Sunday. Fast-moving little wave comes by Sunday morning. This looks like a pretty warm event. It might be rain, but if you look carefully, the model hints at maybe some freezing temperatures in the higher elevations. So we'll have to keep an eye on this. I'm not real confident in this one since it's so far out and it looks weak. But the one thing for sure, it is going to be a warmer weekend. I mean, temperatures here are really warm. Outside of the mountains, you're talking 60s and 70s for the weekend. Up in the mountains, you're probably talking 40s to maybe 50 degrees. So the weekend actually looks good weather-wise for driving, for getting to resorts. And because we're going to get snow ahead of this system, the warm air this weekend, I think we're going to have, just like we had this past weekend, kind of a bluebird weekend, pretty good conditions. Now, long range, there's some signs that we're going to get blowtorched again. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it really looks like going into next week after President's Day, we're going to get into a pretty warm pattern. This is pretty wet, and it is warm. It doesn't look like snow right now, at least for a while. And as we go out even further towards the end of the month, we can see it staying pretty warm, at least for about a week or so. If we're going to see any kind of pattern change, we might have to wait to the beginning of March. So get your skiing in now. This weekend should be just fine, but I'm getting worried that maybe the pattern is flipping to pretty warm here for a week or two at the end of February, which could set up some really big melting and thawing going on until we get into March. And maybe March is one of those weird months. Sometimes it comes in like a lion, goes out like a lamb, comes in like a lamb, goes out like a lion. March is like a wild card. You never know what you're going to get in March. And as February's been super warm, March could be warm as well, but you can get some big time storms in March as well. That's going to be tougher to time out. We can look at that and cross that bridge later, but as we head towards this big ski weekend, the good news right now is we've got pretty good conditions. We're going to get some snow this week, and snowmaking operations can go full bore. Snowmakers, lay down that snow because there might not be many opportunities once we get past this weekend for snowmaking, at least for a while. Hope you're having a great week so far. I'll update this again as we go into the weekend, get you ready on Thursday night into Friday morning as we start the big holiday weekend. As always, please think snow. I don't like this pattern. It is looking warm right now. I'm not going to lie to you guys, so enjoy the snow while you can, especially in North Carolina. Up in West Virginia, Maryland, guys got a little more snow to deal with and a better chance to keep this thing going.